All right, we are live for a midday RTD Q&A. Excited to have returning guests, Mr. John Perez, the silver is money guy, the crypto conspiracy prophet out there. Excited to have you back, John. And also, as I mentioned, hopefully having Dave Morgan join us momentarily. But in the meantime, I want to get started because you got a lot of things on your radar, man. I want to pick your brain. So first of all, how you doing, John?
I'm doing wonderful, Mike. I am so glad to be back with you. You were actually the first guy to interview me way back when, and it seemed like an eternity. Actually, it was a year ago, and I think about it.
Yeah.
Seems like the whole world has changed. The whole world is changing every week, but it's so nice because fast forward, all the calls I made. I mean, everyone said it was FUD, and it was right on the money. So it's nice to come forward. Nice to be here, and like watching your show. And really nice because the last 2 months I've been telling people, and Mike has been on fire on rethinking the dollar. You've touched on some great topics. So nice to be here again, and looking forward to David Morgan to pop in also.
Definitely. Okay, so for those plugged in, definitely looking forward to just having some good back and forth, man. And I'm a fan of you and Dave's work of the conspiracy theory, the crypto conspiracy theories, because I have confessions of a crypto skeptic on my side. So for the last couple of years, I've been talking about things that concern me because I've been in a space. I've watched it evolve to something that looks nothing like what it used to 6 or 7 years ago when I first came across it. So something changed.
Right.
But we'll get into that. And before I move further, let me go ahead and add the Godfather himself to the stream. Let me move him over here. So David Morgan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm going to get lots of feedback on my Raiders shirt.
Hey, it's all good. But happy you can join us. So I was just telling John, it's been great to watch you guys collaborate over the last couple of months in crypto series. And you've educated a lot and woken a lot of people up. So definitely want to kind of continue that and expand upon that and get some questions or whatnot going. But before we dive in, I want to put up something or play something and then get your guys' response. And then we'll just jump right into it and go from there. But take a listen to this and then let me know what you guys think.
Right now it's kind of sunny. Things are doing fine. Everyone thinks the Fed can handle this. That hurricane is right out there down the road coming our way. We just don't know if it's a minor one or Superstorm Sandy or Sandy or Andrew or something like that. And it's you better brace yourself.
Yeah.
There's a hurricane coming. What category it is, I don't know, but I want to start off with that just because everybody at this point knows something's happening. Now it's a matter of how severe and how long and what, where, when. So what do you guys think about that? What were your first thoughts when you heard Jamie Dimon, admit that something's brewing, something's coming?
I'll let David answer that since he has seniority here. So go ahead, David. You can give us.
My initial thought was it's rare that you'll hear a banker admit kind of ahead of time what's going on, and it's vague. It's a hurricane, as you said, Mike. You don't know what category, but any size hurricane, it's got to get a certain level of storm before it's even termed a hurricane. Not to get too technical, he's warning people, and it depends on how far down the rabbit hole or what kind of conspiracy hat you want to use. But there have been in the past, and I'm not saying in this particular instance, a verbal way to communicate to their group. And whether or not that's taking place here or not, I'm not sure. But it's obviously at face value obvious that he's expecting something rather significant. And so that's how I interpret it. I don't want to add too much to it. I don't want to overthink it. But, brace yourself. Oh, that's a pretty powerful word. That's, you brace yourself before impact.
Yeah.
Be a car accident or, airplane tough landing or any of those things. You brace yourself. So I'll leave it at that, Mike.
Yeah. I think category 5 is the highest on the Richter scale. And from my opinion, I got my tinfoil hat right here if you need me to put it on, but it's going to be off the charts, something we've never witnessed in modern history. That's my suspicion. But Mr. Perez, what do you think?
Well, I fall in with David on here. There's really not much to overthink. I mean, I think something to think about, because we talked about Jamie Dimon in the Silver PSYOP as well as the crypto conspiracy, because Jamie Dimon was the banker for Jeffrey Epstein. So now I'm going to overthink this and go right straight down the conspiracy rabbit hole, because that's one place where I spent a lot of time at. Now, to David's point about brace yourselves, I mean, thank God I haven't had it happen to me. But if you're on an airplane flight and they say brace for impact, they usually tell you to put your head between your legs. You know, so let's go to the bank and just picture everyone in the banking line with their heads between their legs first. Okay. Yeah. Now let's ask ourselves a question. Jamie Dimon was also the banker for Jeffrey Epstein. And yesterday, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years. But we still don't know about the black book, the Epstein Maxwell client list. And it was Elon Musk who tweeted out, I call Elon Musk the Grand, the Warhammer. I believe Elon is playing a role right now. And Elon Musk tweeted out a very special tweet. And it relates to Jamie Dimon. And he said, there are 4 things that I will not see in this lifetime. Number 1, a fire-breathing dragon, a T-Rex, and a unicorn. And the 4th one was the Epstein Maxwell client list. And here's got sentenced yesterday. I'm left field here, conspiracy land. And lo and behold, Jamie Dimon's talking about a storm. So what is that storm? Is the storm, is he talking, as David Morgan said, he's talking to could be talking to his cohorts. Is the storm the black book coming out at a certain time? You know, when would that come out here? So I'm of the conspiracy here that the white hats and a sting operation are in operation. Therefore, that book's going to drop at the absolute best time for market crashes, worst time if you're on the list here. So there you go. My overthinking down the rabbit hole conspiracy to go with David Morgan's perfect idea. When minute you said brace yourself, I thought, well, everyone's got their head between their legs, and welcome to the banking world, according to Jamie Dimon.
Now, the black book, that's a whole nother can of worms, but I'd assume that, you know, if you want to go the white hats versus the other guys, the good guy, bad guy, I would assume that the bad guys know that they have something over their head. And there's also the cyber event. You've got the war drum beating. So there's always a counter to that. So what type of unforeseen event could that counter be if it gets to that point? And I know we're far out there in La La Land, but anything is possible at this current moment. I'm sure anybody can believe that.
Well, I'll let Dave go first, because David's always, you know, I love our contrasting opinions and views, how we see things here. So David, you go ahead and give your piece there. Then I'll chime in on that.
Mike, go ahead and say it again, please. Sorry, I was a bit
I was going to say, as far as the black book is concerned, you know, if that black book situation in the Maxwell trial is something that is being used as leverage over the conspirators of this current shift, they have to have a counter to that. And what's the probability? We've been warned of a cyber attack.
A counter to that?
A counter to that.
Distraction.
Like, you know, and so if the book drop, then lights go off or something crazy, just because we never know what's happening out here. But it's all disguised by something. Yeah,
I got it. The normal counter, of course, is some type of false flag. I mean,
ching ching. There you go. The $64,000 answer.
And you could just, you know, use the checklist. You know, it's crisis actors doing something that's a distraction to the main event. So if that book or some of those people on that list were to be released, where the public was aware of it being released, wouldn't even have to be names that they recognize. Just the fact that, you know, some of these people are being outed. There will be a distraction, as you implied, Mike. And what would it be? I don't know. It would be something significant enough to turn your direction from, as a good magician always does.
Yeah.
You know, watch this hand as they're doing the magic over here. So that's what it'd be. It could be, you know, shooting. It could be cyber war. It could be another food processing plant blowing up. It could be a number of things, but it would be, I'm 99% sure it'd be a false flag. But of course, the mainstream news wouldn't call it false flag.
Right.
You know, the conspiracy people.
Right. And I don't mind living in that conspiratorial world, just because to me, at this current moment, a lot of people are coming to the light as to how those people who are far left field, they're fortune tellers in a sense, as far as putting truth out there before it actually surfaces. But I want to let's jump into the conspiratorial cryptocurrency realm, because we're witnessing a lot of implosion right now. And so the question is, once I get my little thing right on here, I want to put this on the screen here. Can cryptos actually crash the economy? Is the question I want to put out there to you guys. And so, based upon current activity, do you think that is this tether? We have all these, centrally controlled companies going belly up now. Could that be the spark that brings all this down, or is it going to be the Fed pivot, or what are you guys thinking?
I'll go first on this one, and John can add. So right now, the market capitalization of the entire crypto space is not large enough to take down the economy.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you use the subset of cryptocurrency alone, then just like the banking system, they're all inextricably connected.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a bunch of dominoes. If you have a major bank that goes down, there's so much interaction and so many contracts between the next bank down that it will take that bank down. And that bank has got so many connections to the third bank, it takes that bank down. So in that context, yes, I think if Tether goes, the whole system of cryptocurrencies could go.
Mm-hmm.
But if all the cryptocurrencies went to zero overnight as a thought experiment, that alone would not take down the economy. Could certainly disrupt some of the financial system, because the quants on Wall Street, I will have to give them credit, have an imagination well beyond what my capabilities are. They're able to take something like the price of Tether coupled to the price of gold, and it will only expire when a black cat crosses the May 5th line during the Indianapolis 500 if it's wearing a blue collar. And that is a bet that somebody has made. And all those parameters have to take place before a payoff is made. And I didn't exaggerate at all.
Great analogy there. John, what do you think, man? Like, it's not, $1 trillion market cap is not enough to compare against, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever trillion it is out there. But yeah, because the banks are so interwoven into it, to where they've been using stable coins as a way to funnel funds throughout the system, they've been overly leveraged, and anything now, margin calls are happening there as we speak. Can it like do something?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take one step back. But what is the leverage for distraction? And David said false flag. I'm going to give a little more detail. Today, NATO called Russia their greatest threat to security. The United States has created a new fifth army to be based in Poland for the first time ever on the Russian front. I mean, we're talking Operation Barbarossa Part 2 right now. I mean, we're talking Napoleon, Hitler, and now the United States government. The Fifth Army today, they just announced it here. So, I mean, a distraction so big on that black book would have to be on the level of a geopolitical global event, because that black book is going to be international. So that's my take on that. Okay, now back to can crypto crash the economy? Absolutely. In fact, I've been saying this consistently, that the NASDAQ will die with Bitcoin. Bitcoin and the NASDAQ are joined at the hip. When the Bitcoin goes down, and it's going to go at 14,000 here really fast. You watch. You mark the day. Today is June 29th, 123. Bitcoin is going to 14,000. We are going to see capitulation, and then despair first, then capitulation. We will go through 14,000. We'll touch 12,000, and then it'll be a combination of capitulation and despair, and the NASDAQ will follow Bitcoin. More conspiracy there, because if you're in the Q crowd, there's something out there called sealed indictments. That's another rabbit hole you can go down, dig. But if you find the density of where most of these sealed indictments are at, you will find they were all in one place, Silicon Valley. So that's another story. That's another show. But back to, can it crash the economy? Yes, absolutely. Because one of the most bizarre things I have seen in the last 3, 4, or 5 months is the fact that, both David and I have talked about the crypto conspiracy and how Bitcoin was going down. And we had people like Michael Saylor saying, sell gold, buy Bitcoin, mortgage your house, buy Bitcoin. That has not been a good trade. Some people sold their silver and bought Bitcoin. Some people sold their gold, bought Bitcoin. That's not going to end up, that's going to end up in tears, that trade. But when the Bitcoin goes down, I talked about this today. There are many home mortgages that were taken out using Bitcoin as collateral. So we're going to see housing craters in the Bitcoin arena here. Housing's already cratering. So we're going to see housing going down because a lot of people have mortgage loans based on their crypto and mortgage loans. So if you're a real estate person, you may not know what the status is of your neighborhood if you don't know the status of the loan. It's the same thing with the Bitcoin and NASDAQ. What you have here, every time, if you look, in fact, take a Bitcoin chart and put the NASDAQ chart on top of it. Anybody can see it. The correlation is obvious. And from this day on, after I say this, everyone's going to be pulling up. You pull up Bitcoin, you pull up NASDAQ, and put them on top of each other. For you chartists out there, put them together and post them up. There's a fun project right there. They are joined at the hip. And in my opinion, my belief is that when Bitcoin goes down, people will be selling Bitcoin to raise cash, or they'll be selling. As Bitcoin goes down, you're going to see selling of the NASDAQ to cover Bitcoin margin calls. And as the NASDAQ goes down, you're going to see people who secured their NASDAQ shares with crypto are going to be forced to sell their crypto to make margin calls. So we're going into a vicious cycle in the tech sector for sure. And it's already happening. All you got to do is put a Bitcoin chart on top of a NASDAQ chart, and you're going to go, voila, that's what he said. And you can see it as clear as day. So yeah, I think crypto can, and it will take the markets down. Not so much the markets down as much as the individuals who are in the market that we don't see, because you really can't see who's in Bitcoin for the most part. But but the U.S. military can see, though. They can see.
Now, so you're for whatever reason choppy on my side, but I got the gist of everything. But you're describing the liquidity crisis that's underway now. So it's going to be a sell-off in a lot of things. And what about, some might say, gold, silver, like all those products created, SLV, GLD, all that stuff out there will also be sold off. Therefore, the spot price of gold and silver is also going to, take a nice little bid. We're going to see all-time low in silver prices, perhaps.
I'll let David take that one, and I'll follow up.
I wouldn't say all-time low.
Okay.
But I would say, I expect a spike low, and my best, educated and highly educated guess would be 18. And if it were to occur, I think it'd be probably a one-day event, 3 at the most. So it'd be like the crash of 2008 and the financial crisis. You'd see this waterfall decline. It would catch a bottom, or similar to what happened in March 2020 when the market started to sell off when the illness started. I mean, the stock market took a huge hit, and silver went down, I think it was 12, and the gold-silver ratio got to 125 to 1, an area that had hardly ever seen in history. And yet it was there like 1 or 2 days, and then it started to come back up in silver's favor. So that's what I expect, Mike, and I certainly won't rule it out. In fact, it's probably more than a 50-50 probability that in a large, sell-off. And going back to, could crypto take down the economy? Again, I'll stay with my answer no, but with that corny analogy about tying the golden tie to the cat walking across and all that, there is a possibility that there's 3 or 4 derivatives out there like that. That's just a corny analogy that do hit a bank. And then again, so now you're back in the banking system at large. I don't think that most, there is such thing as a conservative bank. I don't think there's that many mortgage brokers that will lend on Bitcoin. John's right, they do. But I think if you take it as a percentage of conventional loans, it's rather, you're probably in less than 1%. So again, I would say I don't think it will, but you never know. I mean, the Creditstalt Bank in Austria that went down and started the depression, really. I mean, this was a stalwart bank that no one ever thought had any problems whatsoever, and all of a sudden, bang, it's bankrupt. So, it's very hard to forecast the tail end of the curve, what they call, the tail end on a normal distribution, a bell curve. So I was searching for. On a bell curve, you never think about the tail risk because it never happens, except the tail risk is there and it does happen. Long-term capital management is a very good example. So I don't want to renege on my answer. I mean, no one knows. I don't know. John doesn't know.
Right.
But the thing is that all these markets are much more interconnected than they need to be. And again, back to my corny analogy. I mean, basically, it should be a loan on Bitcoin versus the USD, right? No, it's tied to gold. It's tied to, a certain month. It's tied to the sunset. I mean, again, I'm being facetious, but these are the kind of nonsense. And I'll say one more thing. Wait a minute, what's he talking about? When there was the Washington Agreement and gold took off, Ashante had their quants make up a derivatives book with a lot of these type of exotic financial instruments. And it was so complex, they had to hire a couple of quants from New York to come in and unravel their hedge book because it was so complicated they couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And that's the truth.
Interesting. Now, okay, before you share your thoughts, I would assume that nobody would have ever, or did you imagine seeing oil prices during that little March, low go negative? Was it negative 32, negative 36 a barrel, even though it's temporary in nature? What did that price really represent anything? Because nobody could go out there and actually acquire it at that price, to where they will pay you to come pick it up type of thing. So based upon that unforeseen event, or perhaps somebody did forecast that, is there a probability that we can see a negative dollar or negative $2 just because it's unimaginable and it's all on some computer screen anyway? It's not numbers. So I'll have to just throw out some wild case scenarios.
I like it. I like wild scenarios. Well, look, they really can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
They can print $9 silver, but nobody's going to be fooled, at least a real silver person, because if the spot price says $9 silver, average guy's going to pick up the phone, call his local coin dealer and say, how much is a spot price of silver? I see $9. I'd like to buy an ounce of silver. They go, well, you can just turn the TV off because we ain't selling you nothing at $9 spot, my friend. Right. It's going to be 9 times 2, maybe plus $5 if you want that silver coin. So back to the dollar coming down. I think the dollar's in big trouble. I mean, the BRICS are coming in. They've got their own new currency. I think you covered that this morning here on your show. We have the gold-backed ruble coming. We have the gold. I personally believe, you won't see this in the news, but I will say this: the gold-backed yuan is coming when the Chinese operation and invasion of Taiwan begins this fall, August, September, October. We are going to see the introduction of the gold-backed yuan. And so anything goes with the dollar. The dollar is going to be in big, big trouble. And that's why you got to have that physical silver, and to have yourself to back up. Because we don't know what our government's going to do. I mean, we have Biden in office here. I mean, this is the guy who says his hair stands up on his legs when he's dealing with people. I mean, it's terrifying. I see Biden. And by the way, I will give you the key trigger that's going to toss oil is going to 140 a barrel, then 150, and then oil is going to go past $200 a barrel. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you when that starts. Everybody better get ready right now. Mm-hmm. When Biden goes to Saudi Arabia and is humiliated on the global stage because he's going to be on his knees begging bin Salman to increase production to screw the Russians. Mm-hmm. And bin Salman is going to say, sorry, Joe Biden, go home, go back to America here. Mm-hmm. Because these guys are going to make out. They want 140 oil. They want 150 because they're going to cash in. And of course, Putin's going to be on the sidelines, wringing his hands saying, okay, great. Bin Salman, don't increase production. While we are here in America getting screwed mm-hmm. over the barrel for oil, not because bin Salman or Russia, but because Biden shut down the Keystone Pipe and has slowed down refinery production here in the States here. So we have a lot of problems. I mean, I could just go down the list of problems here, but regarding silver pulling back here, yeah, I definitely expect, and I tell all my clients I work with, when everything goes down, it's all going to go down to a big vacuum. The baby is being thrown out with the bathwater. Silver's going to go down. But I remember I was trading full time during the last crash, And I remember when it went, I told all my clients, get ready. When this goes, everyone's going to sell. And of course, everyone said, well, John, why would people sell their gold and silver? I said, I'll tell you why. Because they're leveraged to the hilt in more ways than you know. And as Warren Buffett said, we're going to find out who's wearing any shorts with their bathing suits when the tide goes out. There's going to be a lot of people caught with their pants down with nothing on when the tide goes out. So I expect silver and gold. Also, I agree with Dave. We're going to see a nice dive, and that's going to be an opportunity. But then we're going to see a word that I say 100 times a day. Then we're going to go see decoupling. And I said this in the silver psyop. When Bitcoin dies, silver flies. In other words, when Bitcoin goes down, silver goes up. That's going to be the decoupling. I believe we're going to see that in the stock market and equities also. We're going to see everything going down, down, down. Everyone's going to say, why is gold going down? It's like, look, people are getting margin calls in every category. There are people that are leveraged to the hilt. They got gold, they got this, they got the Lambo and everything else. Then all of a sudden it's like the Lambo's for sale, the house is for sale, the stocks are for sale, the gold's for sale, everything's for sale, man. I'm going down. What Jamie Dimon said, brace yourself. And so I braced myself. I put my head between my legs and I squeezed my knees and I looked the other way and closed my eyes. And then I woke up and the storm was upon me. The storm is this is the storm, and nothing can stop what is coming here right now. And Jamie Dimon's right. For once, I actually agree with Jamie Dimon, though. So we got problems here. And David's absolutely right. David, the connection, the black cat on May 5th in the Indy 500, perfect, right on the money here. I have to agree on that.
No,
we're there.
At this current moment, is the Fed and whatever comes out of Jerome Powell's mouth and that whole FOMC meeting, is it irrelevant? Because they're so far behind anything that they could try to say they're fixing or working on. And or will the Fed pivot in Q3 like a lot of people say that they have to? I'm of the mindset that if they're all in lock and step with the same agenda of ushering us towards that greater reset agenda, then I don't see them just following conventional wisdom and pivoting out and starting easing again. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, it is relevant. There's so much leverage in the system, and everything really is based on credit. I mean, if you're in business, most people that aren't in business really don't know how the system works. So if you have a storefront, you've got a net 30, 60, 90. So you're fronted the money, or you're given the credit to get the material into your box store, put it on the shelves, put a price on it, sell it. And you don't have to pay any of that credit for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in most instances. I'm trying to keep this very simple. The point being is that the credit markets are the most sensitive. And so there's bets on bets, like I just joked about the Indy 500. And these bets are almost all the quadrillion derivatives notional value has to do with bets on interest rates. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's bets on all kinds of things, but most of it revolves around the credit markets and interest rates, which way are they going to go? And so it's very relevant because so much of a loss or gain can take place if you're on the correct side of whatever the Fed does. But ultimately, you've got to be able to pay off the debt. We can't. Mike, you've been saying that for years. And because of that fact, the market hasn't recognized it yet. But once the market recognizes that, then excuse the analogy, all bets are off. You don't know if the dollar isn't going to be worth anything, in 2 months. It's certainly not going to be worth anything in 30 years. So it will crash, or could crash, the bond markets. Even the T-bill. I mean, the bonds, the notes, and the bills all could be readjusted substantially. My guess right now is that they will not tighten or loosen on the next round. They're going to say, we got to see more data, pull a Janet Yellen and do nothing. That will be perceived by the markets as being very positive. So the stock market will probably go up. Gold may sell off some, and happy days are here again. But it's just a delay. They're just postponing the inevitable. Mm-hmm. I am more worried now, Mike and John, than ever. And I don't worry a lot because I've been in this market for so long. I got ice water in my veins. But I also am cognizant of the Great Depression and Great Depressions and what happens at the end of a currency collapse. And we've got the dollar still doing better than all the other currencies. Just reading, I think yesterday, working on my report, that I forget the exact numbers, but the U.S. has increased, I forget the time frame, 125% on their GDP, but Canada's gone 150. And of course, the Canadian dollar has dropped versus the U.S. dollar. So all that proves is that even though we're printing up massive amounts of money or currency on a daily basis, Canada is doing it at an even faster rate. So that means that our currency is stronger because their printing press is going faster than ours is. I mean, it's absolute insanity when you think
It really is.
It gives us a little bit of gives us more time. It buys the U.S. more time, basically. So it allows you to buy cheaper prices of silver and gold if it comes about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Look at it.
what are you thinking, John?
Well, David brings up some great points that are, I never even think about that. We're at the point where right now you should be buying food, bullets, and physical silver, and Kevlar helmets, I mean, this kind of language is just unheard of here.
Right.
I know we laugh about it, but what else can we do?
Mhm.
What else can we do but we're watching this in slow motion. The FOMC, is it irrelevant? I think if you're on Wall Street, everything's going to be relevant. You're basically owned by whatever they do. But I've been telling my people on Silver is Money is that what I expected before the last raise, I said that there'd be 1 or 2 raises by Powell, and then Powell would overshoot his boundaries, raise too much, crush the economy. We see it's going off the cliff, it's disintegrating on the second raise, and then of course Biden comes in, eating his ice cream. Okay, listen, you think we can turn those rates around? So they're gonna have to return the rates. They're gonna have to go back, and we're gonna have a 9/11 moment. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean 2 buildings going down, but as we talked about earlier, a false flag or something like that. I think when we get to that point where we have the markets are starting to fail and fall apart, I think we're going to see something happen in Europe that's going to be nuclear related. UK will be involved, and there's going to be more upgrades and all weaponry going around, because the weaponry going on, it was Russia setting up here, is off the charts. Gold should be going up $50 a day every day right now. Silver should be up at $55, $65, $75 based on just the weaponry going down right now. I've been in the geopolitical arena for over 20 years, just focusing on military events, geopolitical events, specifically war. And what I see with Russia is I'm here pulling my hair out going, why is, 20 nuclear weapons on your front border? Good day to knock down gold another buck. It doesn't make any sense. All I can, my illustration to my people is this. Silver is like a canary in the coal mine. I said, somebody reached into the canary cage and pulled out the live canary, and they replaced the canary with a rubber duck. So now, as the shit hits the fan, the rubber duck just sits there doesn't move. To where in the past we had silver and gold would tell us something's wrong. Right. It's like getting in a car wreck, and a motorcycle wreck. Your leg just got ripped off, and it's in the street flopping around like a lizard tail. And the paramedics come up and say, "Are you okay?" "I'm just fine. Just fine." "Well, your leg's over there." "I don't feel a thing." It's like, well, because it's torn off. I still just feel just fine. I'll be just fine. It's that guy thing, it's like, I'll be just fine. I'm just fine. Our economy here, I hate to use that illustration, but we're at the point now where it's like it's like gold is going down and they're talking nuclear war. Yesterday, the Russians posted satellite photographs of the Pentagon, all the NATO headquarters in Europe, and said, and the literal positions there, and said these would be nuclear targets. Not in the news. Like, really? My rubber duck. How's geopolitics doing, rubber duck? The rubber duck just sits there and looks back. Okay, everything looks just fine. There's no canary in the coal mine anymore. in the past, and David knows this, in the past when we had different things happening, oil would pop up, gold would pop up. Now we have rubber ducks and a completely managed takedown. So this is true. Type in satellite image, and this stuff is on Telegram. You won't see it in the mainstream news. The Russian foreign ministry, they're in their talk shows talking about targeting leadership in NATO with hypersonic nuclear weapons. It's not in the news.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I hope I didn't say too much. I don't want YouTube to shadow ban this wonderful.
It is what it is. Like, and that's why I'm working on things to try to get off of YouTube, just because one of my thoughts are that as the financial conditions continue to deteriorate, the censorship will increase. Therefore,
yes,
all the publicly traded companies and their platforms, they're going to really crack down like they did over the political narrative and the health narrative. So I expect more of that. But I want to get some questions in from the audience. I don't want to keep you guys too long, so I want to put it out there. Anybody got any questions? And then I want to talk about some happy things. What are you guys doing to keep yourselves sane these days? I know you guys, we got any golfers out there, any tennis players or what? Let us know, because I don't want to make it all doom and gloom. We got to actually keep a smile on our face. So
yeah.
So share me what you guys are doing to stay busy, to stay healthy, to have fun and enjoy life, rather than just always talk about doom and gloom.
Well, for me, John is a trainer. I mean, John and I know each other more and more, and we've had some pretty long talks on the markets and also our personal lives. I still train with a trainer. That's one of my sanity points. But kayaking's kind of been my sport of late. I've been doing that for years. Something for me, I've always been attracted to water sports. I've crewed for a guy when in my younger days on a sailboat. If you know what crewing means, it's just you're one of the 2, 3, 4 people, depending on the size of the sailboat, that basically does all the work while the captain's yelling at you the whole time. But I really enjoyed it. I really like water sports. So that'd be number one. The other one, this is corny, but remember, I'll be 70 next year, so it's not like I'm 30. Just walking the dog in the woods. I live in the woods, and I never tire of it. I see the same trees, but they look different on every walk, and it's just a good way to smell those pine trees and just let everything go. Something so simple as a nice walk with a really well-behaved dog. She doesn't pull on the lead. I'm walking at my pace. She stays right with me, and it's very relaxing. So simple things. I'd say the other would be just a human connection. I mean, people like you, Mike, and John, and many that I interface with, even though it's business. I don't know of anyone in my circle of influence that I'm close to that doesn't have a sense of it. I mean, no matter where my state of mind is, when I get off the phone with John, I always feel better. No matter what my state of mind is with Mike, or get off the phone, I always feel better. So I'd leave it at that. Those are the main things for me personally.
That's good. That's good. How about you, John? What do you get? What do you do? Keep busy. Keep saying. You're an animal guy. I know that. No, I know that much.
Yeah. Well, I broadcast all day live on Telegram, and I go in and out. And sometimes people's like, "Where did he go? Where did he go?" Because I'm always doing it. I treat the day as like a football game, so making announcements. But for me, it's gardening, non-GMO foods. I source my own food. I got the trees, I got the gardens, I got the cabbage going, got the peppers. I'm a big pepper guy. I love hot peppers. I'm a firm believer that non-GMO, heritage, heirloom seeds are the way to go. Source your own food. That's one form, and then it's both relaxing as well as work. There's a lot of gardening here to do. I've got a horse, got a couple horses, so I'm busy. I'm scooping poop. I'm composting. I have the ultimate composting recipe, and I use all this and I compost, and it's physical labor. It's hot and sweaty. And honestly, to deal with the stress of geopolitics, I do this to stay grounded. It's like, okay, all this really technical stuff, numbers, this and that. It's really technical. It's like that scene from The Wolf of Wall Street. Numbers, you got to get out and do something here. And you got to get out and work. So for me personally, I have a dog too, Rhodesian Ridgeback. And now she's kind of unruly though, because she just runs around on acreage chasing coyotes. But when we go for a walk, I'm with David here. You get out and you just have to get away, because this is really stressful stuff. I mean, we're looking at the controlled demolition of what was once a world power. We are watching the deconstruction of the dollar. We're watching the devolution of politics. And we're watching, it seems like we're watching a movie, what's coming apart here. So with the horse, get out and just the gardening. And I love just being with the animals. I have chickens. I love my chickens. That's funny. I love my scrambled eggs. I love my and in between after that, I'm doing this really technical, hardcore, and people don't realize I love the simple life. I love the simple. I have grapes. The grapes are in and they taste. I can walk right out the door right now and I can have a sip of wine, shot of tequila, and I can grab the grapes and like pluck them in my mouth here. So that's it here. It's not funny. It's like, that's what I encourage everyone. I tell everyone I have a channel that's literally just on food prepping, and just sourcing your own foods. And I'm a total believer from my days of being a trainer, non-GMO, heirloom foods, just go natural, fasting. That's another big thing. Fasting is a big deal here for me. So yeah, outside of this, like David said, getting outside, and I'm on acres, so I have woods, so I can get outside and see the squirrels attacking my garden. There you go. There's a relief right there.
Oh my goodness!
Damn those squirrels.
Let's get to some questions real quick. Share your 2 cents. It says, ask David Morgan his opinion on the Ugandan gold discovery.
Yeah, it's all BS. It's a lot of hype.
I don't buy it.
Nothing to it. Okay, I'll take it, Jack. What about you, John? Why now? Why now? Why would they need to put that out now? And who's the source of that?
Oh my! I tell people this happens all the time. To me, it's a deep state ploy. This is before every big run in gold and silver, and I've been professionally in gold and silver since 2005, 2006. 2006 is my days at Monax. Yeah. And I moved millions in silver and physical silver gold back then. But every time there's a big bull market, there's like, oh, here comes this, quadrillion ounce asteroid of gold, and we're all going to go mining on asteroid. I'm like, dude, you better lay down the crack pipe. Nobody's going asteroid mining. Hey, go try to mine in California. If a turtle poops on your mine, you're going to have problems. You're not going asteroid mining here. So I think the Uganda thing, a couple years ago, you can type in Russian gold, Korean ship. I think before the last one, 2016, there was like, $200 billion in missing Russian gold in a Korean ship. And first I thought, more bullshit, here we go. And it happened again. So next, there's always some cockamamie story that someone's been, put up to, there's 1 trillion ounces of gold over here. Just gold's going down. They just found quadrillion. They said 31 million. If there was that much gold in Uganda, it's like every geologist in Vancouver would be in Uganda already. Promoting it. They're not there, so that tells me
I don't doubt that they have something underground, because Africa is the wealthiest plot of land that's untapped. But to get it up in time, to get it out there, it's it was BS.
We don't know the grade. We don't know. There's so many unknowns. I again think it's.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think it's Grand Canyon gold. That's it. It's Grand Canyon gold.
Next question says, what happens to metals if war breaks out?
They go up, but they go down first. It's silver's the metal of war. Gold is a hedge against uncertainty, but they'll go up.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with David. I am in 100% agreement. I think though, unique to this market though, today, June 29th, palladium moved $223 this morning. Last night before I went to bed, I sent out an alert to people. I said, keep an eye on palladium. If we go over 2,000, and lo and behold, it moved $223 today. Why? Because they sanctioned the owner of Norilsk Nickel today. Platinum and palladium. So we really got to keep an eye on platinum, palladium. I'm of the belief that the sanctions regarding Russian sourcing of palladium and platinum will be affected by the sanctions. They sanctioned the owner of Norilsk Nickel, and lo and behold, palladium moved. I believe palladium and platinum will lead the way in this next silver gold bull market. We may have already had our dip. I mean, look, a year ago when the Wall Street silver guys came in, it was $29, $30, $31, $33 silver. Now you're getting it's $20 silver right now, 20, 50. I mean, that's astonishing. We're buying silver at 40% of what the highs were in 1980, which tells me silver is, again, the magical buy right here. But palladium and platinum should lead based on the geopolitics of sanctions on Russian precious metals, which I think is a gift for precious metals.
Well, next question. It says, what will be the impact of BRICS on the precious metals market?
I don't think much, unless there is, as John alluded to earlier, a gold-backed yuan, which has been talked about for decades. And will that happen? It may. I certainly don't rule it out. In fact, I'm one of the first to report on it, that at the time I was more convinced it would happen 10 years ago than I am now. But regardless, they've already exited the dollar to the best of their ability, the BRICS nations. And they've got their own system that's equivalent to SWIFT. In some ways, actually, it's more efficient. It's less friction. It does a better job than SWIFT. I have to make a joke, Mike. There's people that don't know about bank wire transfers. I get them and I send them and get them. I won't say all the time, but quite often. But the joke in the industry is if you really want to wire somebody money, the best thing you do is you take the suitcase, fill it with cash, get an airline flight, deliver it on the desk of the next day, because these wires could get hung up for days, sometimes longer than that. It's not a very efficient system.
Let me see here. Any other questions? Let me see here. Everybody talk about gold, silver. Let me see here. Something here. It says talking about gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. But what about copper? Do you guys believe it to be the most undervalued of the precious metals?
I know I'm taking the first on all these, but I said a long time ago that I thought near the end, and I think we're getting near the end, the only metals that would be going up would be the precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. All other metals, base metals, your copper, your lead, your zinc, even aluminum, your tin will be going level or flat or down. The reason is that we're having a huge contraction in the global economy. I didn't say the financial market, I said the economy. So there's less and less need for metals in general, base metals in particular, if there's no automobiles being made, no new aircraft being produced. I'm not saying we're going to zero. What I am saying is there's a huge contraction, and copper has already made a massive signal recently that it's that the industrial component of the global economy is on the way down, not up. So I like copper. We featured it, but as far as me personally, I've exited all my copper positions. That doesn't give you a solid answer. I don't know what does.
Now it says, it says, Mike, can you ask what is the current state of the nickel market? The paper price is much lower than during the squeeze.
I don't follow nickel closely enough. Maybe John can add.
You know, I remember that they had the LME problem with the squeeze and nickel, and I pretty much, you know, they're always manipulating the game with derivatives, and it's hard to take any of these derivative events seriously anymore. You really can't, because at the end of the day, that one turned out to be like, oh, okay, well, this guy was underwater. He got laid off the hook here. So any of us would have been margin called. We'd be, you know, forced liquidated, be out.
Yeah.
So my take on that is the nickel market. I believe the nickel market is going to go up probably 300, 400, 500%. Nickel's going to go way, way up. But, and now with this sanction on Norilsk nickel, I think it's going to push it up even higher. But I believe that what we saw at the LME for nickel, I believe was what I would call a dry run of what we could see happen in the silver markets here.
Yeah,
that's how I look at that.
Don't want to put words in your mouth, but it is pretty good precursor to what could happen in silver.
Definitely. So the COMEX, LBMA, all those market rigging entities will either blow up or be closed, or like, you know, they'll have to, you know, basically the vault to be drained or what? Because I'm hearing a lot of the metals that's in the holdings of these institutions are not really theirs. It's just they're holding it for the JP Morgan perhaps or something like that, or what?
Well, I'll give you a real life story, and again, John can maybe fill in. But so if we go back to palladium, back in you have to look at a chart, early 2000s. it was around $300, and it went to 1,100.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had 4 on. I had 4 contracts. Started moved up about $100, and I got a call from my broker said I had to increase the margin. I said, "Wait a minute, I'm long." I was thinking about adding a contractor with the equity I've built up. Nope. Margin calls across the board, long or short, doesn't matter. Increase your margin. And I had to wire some astronomically large amount of money, so I got sold out at the market, made a very small profit. Went all the way to $1,100. And the reason was it was a physical squeeze, Mike, and I think John remembers this.
Yeah, I do.
That Ford Motor Company looked at their catalytic converter line on their automobiles and said, platinum's costing too much. Palladium's a lot cheaper. It does the same job. So we're going to substitute platinum with palladium. But someone forgot to tell the logistics department of Ford Motor Company how small the palladium market is. So it shot the market up to $1,100 at the top of the market. This is the truth. At the top of the market, you had to pay $2,200 an ounce for palladium, even though the cash price was $1,100 to keep the paper contract. Why would that take place? Because the clearing brokers were getting their hair and pants on fire at the same time. And they had to make good as a clearing broker to make good on these contracts that couldn't be fulfilled on the paper side. So they were just putting a lot of heat to settle in paper whatever they could. Didn't last too long, but what did happen when the dust settled, very similar to nickel that we were talking about a minute ago, is the LME said, we have got it in our warehouse and we will determine who gets it, how it's leased out, and we'll settle it out from here. And all that was behind closed doors, other than the blanket, vague statement that we have it in our vault. We don't care, my words, we don't care what the contract says or who's got delivery coming by what date or whatever. There's a disruption in the market. We will make it right by our standards, not by yours, which just really upsets me. But, you want to know what's going to happen? The old adage that, possession is 9/10 of the law. Even though it's my gold, but it's sitting in London's vault, guess what? Who's going to control it?
That's
it makes me sick. It really upsets me. I mean, you know my personality, Mike, but I mean, this is the kind of crap that's been going on for so long against we the people. I'm surprised that we're calm as we are sometimes, because we have just been hammered so many times by these banking elitists that think we're useless eaters, that it's really starting to get to a lot of people. Of course, it's gotten to me for a long time,
right.
But I try to keep my demeanor because, yelling doesn't help anything. And I mean that by yelling, and also yelling doesn't help either. But back to you, John. I'm sure you could add some color to that.
Well, David nails it. I mean, I think people are we are in the great awakening. People are waking up right now. They see all this stuff here. They see, we can analyze till the cows come home, but we know one thing now. We are in the great kabuki theater. We are in the great theater of BS. Right. And it's exposed now, and people see it. And to Dave's position, regarding the manipulation, they will always manipulate the paperwork to their benefit, no matter what. It's never been a free market. And can it be? I think we could see a free market, but it'll be managed. I think there has to be some sort of management inside there. But the way the markets are right now, I'm of the belief that Vladimir Putin and Chairman Xi of China will break the last grip. The last grip that the cabal has left on this planet is the grip on gold and silver prices. And from what I see coming from Russia with the gold-backed ruble and the gold-backed yuan, is that grip is going to be broken. And that's coming here soon. And I'm talking, this is out there. And remember, think of it this way. If you were the government of Mexico, maybe you were the treasurer of Mexico, or the president for that matter, and someone came to you as an accountant, a silver accountant, and said, sir, I need to show you a silver report here. So we are Mexico, number 1, number 2 producer of silver in the world, right? Okay, so they're big silver, they're big, they're huge, and we've been doing some math here on this COMEX silver thing, and based on the amount of silver that has gone out of the ground of Mexico and how much this price has been manipulated here, we may have a legal case against the COMEX as a country. Now, this is crazy to make this argument here, but that is literally how bad it is, to where the little guy gets screwed. But I've thought to myself, I've contemplated, what if a country like Mexico decided, hey, we're going to sue the COMEX? Why? Because we believe they've been suppressing the price of silver, and we're not just a trader, we're a country. And based on the amount of silver that's been pulled out of the ground, out of our entire country over the last 10, 20, 30 years that the COMEX has been in existence, we've come to the conclusion that the amount of money we have lost based on manipulation amounts to X. And we have some questions and we would like some answers to this. So it would take a sovereign event like that would take things to the COMEX would be vaporized overnight on paper, because these people would see deer, they'd be deer in headlights. Oh my gosh, we have a country coming at us. This means this country is going to bring an army of attorneys, and there's plenty of evidence to show that the manipulation is there. I mean, that's like not even an argument anymore. We know this. So I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take a sovereign event from a country like Mexico or another country to declare, hey, look, we are saying that our country was screwed. Our people are screwed. I am the leader of our country as a sovereign leader. The price of silver we depended on was at this level. But now, as a leader, we believe our country is owed some money here. So we have a problem. We have an argument. We have a question here. We can get farther into this. This would flip the world. No. The world would flip overnight. The silver world would be flipped on its head overnight here. So anyhow, that's
a great
argument right there.
Definitely, because Mexico right now and the U.S. is not on good terms based upon that summit they had where Mexico decided to not show up. So there's definitely some unraveling on the political scene. So
don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
Something's brewing. We all know something's brewing, and of course, it looks like Russia's being pointed. They're pointing the blame at Russia for all the world's problems. But yet Russia and China, they already have their alternative system ready to roll out. It's just a matter of when. And John, as you mentioned, there's going to be probably some war soon where China's going to announce their gold-backed currency, and then the world will, see that there's some plans out there already in play. But we're approaching an hour point, gentlemen, and I want to respect the rest of your day. So Dave, I've never seen you laugh so much, man. It's good to see you laughing today, man. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and sharing your thoughts, and you guys are doing a great job collaborating over there. So definitely appreciate you for blessing with your presence, and enjoy the rest of your week. And of course, there's gonna be more stuff to talk about in the future. Hopefully we can do this again. I enjoyed it. And everybody tuned in. John Perez over on Telegram at Silver is Money. The Morgan Report, you guys know Dave Morgan. And other than that, be back at it later on tonight. Be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, John.